Hey everybody, welcome back to the Vlogcast. So today was a really awesome one because I got to sit down and speak to one of our Jiu-Jitsu guys who has overcome so much in his Jiu-Jitsu and martial arts journey. So in this conversation, you're going to get to listen and learn from one of the most inspirational people that I've ever met come in through our doors to learn how he's adjusted his mindset, how he's adjusted and adapted with his body to make it so his jiu-jitsu journey and martial arts journey is the best it can be, and he keeps progressing. So this is a really awesome one, guys. So I hope you really enjoy it, and I hope you can take away as much as I did from this conversation. So link is in the bio. Remember, go up through our link tree and we'll see you inside the podcast. So let's do it. Everybody, welcome back to the Vlogcast. Today, is going to be the first day that we're actually having a guest on. So it's not going to be just me doing a monologue like I normally do. Today, I got Branden on. So I'm going to bring Branden on right now. And oh, just a second, Branden, you're not there you are. All right, cool. So
Hey everyone.
So Branden's on now. So like I said, this is the first one we are doing with a guest. Now, Branden and I tried doing this last week. It failed miserably. Not because of Branden, but because I am apparently really don't have any idea how technology works. So and that's not actually true. We just had a lot of audio issues last week. So doing this again, this is round two. And we're going to be talking today about a number of different things, specifically about jiu-jitsu, fighting sports, and fighting your way through adversity, and like how to keep going when it feels like the chips are stacked against you, or when things aren't going your way, and how to adapt and overcome. I think, Branden, you said that one time to me. It's just adapt and overcome is kind of like one of the best mindsets to have. So without me just going off on a monologue again with Branden here, Branden, you want to talk a little bit about, your background and maybe where you started, where you are now, like your kind of road to get to where you are, and maybe educate everybody out a little bit on you as well.
All right, man. So I'm Branden. I'm 24 years old. I started Jiu-Jitsu when I was 10 years old. I started at the first Tracy Baja location in Albuquerque. It was the East Side location. It was before it was Tracy Baja, though. It was the New Mexico Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu Academy. They had a big old lion for their emblem, and I was there for quite a while, actually. I went through their entire kids program, and then they moved to GB. I went through the kids program again, and then I quit doing jiu-jitsu for a little while just because I felt differently about it, Then I went to MMA with Coach Mike Winkeljohn for a few years. And then one of my buddies from Gracie Baja had opened up his own school, Professor Dave Binder. And we signed up first day we could. And we were there pretty much up until he couldn't do jiu-jitsu anymore, and he had to sell his school. And then that's when I moved to Invictus, and here we are now.
Cool, man. So what made you go into jiu-jitsu initially? I know you were telling me off camera and stuff like that, but there was some stuff that it like just really helped you with, and some benefits that you found in jiu-jitsu that really made you stick with it. Can you want to elaborate on that a little bit?
So my parents had started in jiu-jitsu, my father years before me, and my mother shortly before me, and they brought me to an introductory class at the Jiu-Jitsu Academy that I was telling you all about. Mm-hmm. And the professor at the time had gotten down on my level, which is, by the way, something I really respect as a small person. And he was like, "Do you want to try this?" And that was the end of the story. It was like, yes. And I got my introductory class, got the first weekend, the first month in, first year in, you know how it is.
Yeah. Well, I just remember you talking to me about how it made you functionally stronger, and how you were able to use a lot of the concepts and a lot of the movements of jiu-jitsu to in a way strengthen your body and actually gain a lot of mobility, flexibility, and that kind of stuff.
It did. So I was doing physical therapy before I did jujitsu for strength and flexibility, and we realized that jujitsu was giving me all of that. So I was actually able to kick physical therapy to the curb.
Yeah. So was your physical therapist like pretty excited about that? Were they like, wow, like this is kind of making a huge improvement for you?
Yeah, I think so. When I was younger, I had like a team of physical therapists and occupational therapists, and I think they were all just super psyched. And it's
That's
like,
That's super awesome, man. So yeah, so you were able to use jujitsu and just fighting sports in general to actually build a lot of like functional strength, functional movements to help you avoid the need to have to do physical therapy and occupational therapy and stuff to actually get your body stronger, which is super cool because there's a lot of individuals who because I know I went through some physical therapy from injuries and stuff, which is nothing in any way close to what you've had to go through. But I know that the mindset when you're going through a lot of physical therapy from injuries is your brain automatically, at least mine did, you go into kind of like a dark mental period where you're like, I'm broken, I'm trying to come back, I'm trying to fix myself. Mine was injuries, like some pretty bad injuries that I've had in just the past, just being dumb. It wasn't even like anything I really did like to myself. It was just apparently getting old or something like that. I don't know. But it was one of those things that's like my brain, in a way, it didn't, I wasn't defeated in a way, like, because I feel like I have a pretty strong mindset with that, like not quitting, but it was like kind of a darker point in my life. Do you feel like there was a way that you or something that you did to make it so you never went down that, or I don't know if you did go down that like kind of darker path or whatever, and how you brought yourself out of it that might help other people?
no, I understand where you're coming from, man. I mean, everyone staggers, everyone falters. The whole thing for me is taking it a day at a time, an hour at a time, a
Mm,
minute at a time. Because if you were to look, let's say your recovery plan is 3 months, and you look at the whole 3 months, that's gonna scare you.
that's actually, yeah, that's really smart. Yeah, we say it all the time in here. It's all about your journey. It's not about your next belt or learning the moves or anything like that. So Brandon didn't mention it yet, but he's a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu purple belt. And for anybody who knows Jiu-Jitsu, that's not like, we don't just hand purple belts to anybody. It's not just something that like you walk in the door and like, yeah, 6 months later, a year later, even 2 years later, you're a purple belt. It takes a long time, a lot of dedication, a lot of hard work, and admittedly a lot of beatings to get to that point. And a lot of people, I would say the vast majority, and Brandon, you probably agree with me on this, the vast majority of people don't get there. I mean, Brandon, how many people, and I probably know the answer to this, how many people do you probably feel like you've met along the way that are no longer in the sport? They just quit, becomes too hard, it becomes too frustrating, or they get setbacks and whatever, and they just quit. How many do you think?
So for me, far too many I've seen have quit, but everyone that I've seen stay is a black belt now.
So yeah, that's crazy. So it's like, yeah, all of the ones who stuck it out have gotten to a point where they have made it either a black belt or a higher rank, at least in my opinion as well, like a lot of high ranks. But there are so many faces that we lose, and it's crazy. And like just what you said, Brandon, it's you got to take it a day at a time, a minute at a time, and just you just enjoy the journey. I'm sure there's days where you probably don't feel very motivated to go. Maybe you're tired that day. Maybe like just like everybody, had a rough day or whatever, and just like, oh, gotta go to class, gotta go to jujitsu. Is there something that you do maybe that like kind of hypes you up or gets you going, or do you even need that? Are you like one of those really positive people that is just like, oh yeah, I get to go to jujitsu every single day? Like, I'm not that type. I know some people that are like that, and I hate them. I hate them a lot just because they can just like pull that happy energy out of somewhere. I don't know where the hell it is, but they can pull it out and just go. So do you have something like that?
I'm gonna tell you this. You and me are the same way. Getting hyped. One thing that helps me if I want to really get hyped up is music, man.
Okay, do it. What kind of music, if you don't mind me asking? What kind of gets you in that like I'm ready to go fighting? I think I think I know the answer because I see you jamming out when we're rocking out in the music in the gym. But what would that be?
Metal, man. Loud drums, fast guitars.
Nice. Yeah, so that's one thing I don't really try as much, but I probably should, is just jamming out to music more. We got in our gym, we have a lot of people who are really big into bands and metal and music and stuff like that. And actually it's funny, it's like, I don't know, maybe it's just but metal seems to be the predominant thing, at least in our gym. The predominant music is like um metal, classic rock, like harder rock, like, like stuff like that. Just seems to be like, at least in jujitsu, kind of a prominent thing. And I see a lot of people that utilize it for the same thing, so they utilize it to kind of like mentally put themselves in the space to want to be in class even after a really bad day or like whatever, because like I was mentioning in one of our posts on Instagram, motivation is bullshit. And I apologize if I'm cursing, but I don't really like have a way to filter that very well. So,
You're not
but
alone.
I do think motivation, it doesn't exist. Motivation is an emotion. And a lot of people think that they need motivation to go to the gym, or they need motivation to hit a goal, or they need motivation for all of these different things to become okay in their life, or to get somewhere in their life. But the problem is that you could be driving on the way to the gym and you get cut off in traffic, and all of a sudden your motivation is gone because you're pissed off, or you just have a bad day. Your boss yells at you, a project that you're working on or something that you're trying to work on during the day just doesn't work, right? And your motivation is gone. So it's all about habits. And Brandon, you could probably speak to this probably fairly well. It's with all of your years in jiu-jitsu and in martial arts and in MMA, because you went through MMA. You did an MMA program with Mike Winklejohn, who was one of the biggest MMA coaches in the world, he's with Jackson Wink, so and you can probably speak a lot on having, good habits to keep you not necessarily motivated, but to keep you on the right track, correct?
Uh, First things first, I'd like to say is, oh, sorry, my brain, like, I wanted to say something and then my brain just completely.
Sorry, that happens to me like every minute of the day. So, but yeah, so what do you think about, is there a way that, like, have you created a lot of like habits in your life that make it easier to stick to those goals? Or are you even like are you a goal writer kind of guy, or are you kind of one of those guys that just like kind of just takes it day by day and lives? Do you do like um where you have like some big progress, like people who write the goals and like, I have to achieve this by the end of the year, or I have like this? Or are you kind of one of those people that kind of just relaxes and just kind of just allows life to happen?
I think there are certain goals I should be writing down, but at the moment in time, I am a go with the flow kind of man.
Hmm. That makes sense. I mean, a lot of people, like, I guess with the way our brains work, a lot of people are, especially in martial arts, are either polarized to be one or the other. Like very, very few people that I've met are like kind of a semi combination of both. Whereas like me, I am a very goal oriented person, where I may not necessarily always write down a goal, but I will always have a goal in my brain of like, I need to do this. I need to be here. And if I don't, it like drives me absolutely crazy. But then there's a lot of people that I meet in our jujitsu world, in our martial arts world, Muay Thai and everything like that, that like are perfectly happy just riding the wave, just being in life and riding the wave and stuff. And like, it's just kind of a cool dynamic between the two. So so you, like we were just mentioning, you did MMA Winklejohn, you were actually one of the founding members of that MMA program, if I remember correctly, right?
I was the adaptive MMA.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And did you prefer MMA over jujitsu, or was it kind of just like a quick break from jujitsu that brought you back, or was there anything like you would say was you enjoyed more or less out of the two or between the two?
Um, uh, I, I enjoy them both differently. I mean, MMA was. I mean, as you know, Albuquerque is a fight city,
Mm-hmm.
and I grew up around it. I grew up watching the greatest fighters in the world. So it was fun to sit down and train with one of the best coaches in the world, be around the best fighters in the world, and learn what they're learning.
Yeah. And then you kind of brought yourself back to jujitsu when your friend Professor Binder opened his school, and then you kind of went that direction again, right? Is that kind of how the timeline worked?
Ex-
That's awesome, man.
uh,
So
yeah.
so
So
and then you were one of the founding members of Binder BJJ, correct?
that I was actually
Yeah, I remember your when you came in, you have a gi that has a cool patch
founders
on the
back.
back. Yeah, and it says founding member of Binder BJJ, and that's actually a really cool patch. I kind of makes me wish that we had done that with Invictus. You know, we had just had like some of our originals. We still have a few originals from the original school. And yeah, that would have been really that was a cool idea. Binder had a really cool idea with that. Like I kind of wish we had done that, but so I want to keep asking you questions because I got like a ton of them, dude. So like, and I want to kind of get a lot of your feedback and a lot of your perspective on a lot of this. But uh, is there so as you know, we have a lot of turnaround, like we were just discussing in jujitsu. We have a lot of turnaround, a lot of people who quit early, who maybe they don't make it to blue belt. Some who do make it to blue belt. There's actually kind of like it's I don't know if it's necessarily a meme, but it's like something that is widely known in jujitsu that blue belt is the belt to quit at. And do you have any insight as to I have some theories as to why that is. Do you, based on your perspective, have any ideas why so many people kind of quit, and like maybe what helped you to keep going from that? Because there are so many people that, you know, they hit that belt and it becomes a milestone and then they don't want to go to the next milestone. Do you have any ideas on that, or what your perspective on that?
I think that that is definitely a huge stigma, but it happens. So for
Mm-hmm.
me, I went through the kids system in Gracie Baja, and then when you go through the kids system and you get all the way up and you hit, I think it's like what 15, 16, you jump straight from white to blue, or straight from the green black to the blue belt.
Mm-hmm.
So I really feel the blue belt blues, you know, but I get it. I think when you get to blue belt, you're at that point where you have your base amount of knowledge in jiu-jitsu, but you're still losing. Like you're still getting choked out, and I think that some people just can't handle the fact that I know these shows, I'm still getting calling them every single day. But what you got to realize is that you're gonna get caught in chokes every single day. A black belt could get caught by a white belt if they're not careful.
That's happened. It's happened to me. And it was one of those days, and it's like, and I tell people this, and I'm sure because you as a purple belt, at least in our academy, I assume a lot of other academies feel this way. You're getting into the senior ranks now. You can start teaching. You can start helping out other people. We usually say, you know, white and blue, you're still kind of in the early phases. You're still kind of learning. Purple belt, at least in our affiliation, our academy, was the first semi or first teaching rank, right? So because your knowledge and your time in has been enough to get you to there. In fact, when I first opened Invictus back in the like way back, I didn't even actually open it. I actually took it over from somebody, but I was I had been like a 4 or 5 year purple belt at the time, and I took it over as a purple belt. And it was one of the toughest things because you're a purple belt, and like Brandon mentioned, we're in a city of fighters, and there are black belt gyms everywhere. There's mini Gracie Baja locations. There was all kinds of different gyms everywhere with black belts, and I was a purple belt that took over a school because the black belt that had it got a different position in California and took off. And so I took over the school, and it was either take it over or it shuts down. And one of the things that I remember a lot of is the struggle, like people go through blue belt blues, right? It's just like the struggle when you're getting choked out by people like, oh, I'm at this level now. I shouldn't be like falling behind or anything like that. I should be better, superior than at least white belts, right? Than blue belts. And then all of a sudden, every now and then one catches you, or you get like a white belt who is had some experience somewhere else, or like maybe was a wrestler or something like that. And struggle. I had that the majority of mine as a purple belt because I was bouncing schools because my original school shut down for financial and some other really shady stuff that happened reasons. And because of that, I was gymless and homeless for a long time. Not homeless, but like gym homeless for a long time. And it was difficult to find good quality training partners and get back on a goal-oriented path where I thought I was progressing. And just like you were saying, Brandon, it's like sometimes you feel like when your progress kind of stagnates and you're getting caught by people or you're getting beat by people who shouldn't in your head be able to beat you, it becomes really, really hard to stay on track and to keep wanting to go, right? So and as a black belt now, shit, Brandon, you're a purple belt, and you've caught me a number of times with things that I never saw coming. I was just like, how the hell did you do that? It's just like, but I mean, and for those who don't know Brandon, he has a lot of unique and sneaky ways of getting to the same positions that other people just physically can't do. Your body, you've adapted your body in such a way to jujitsu and to fighting that is honestly, it's to me, it's very inspiring because there's so many people who use things that as like a crutch. Like I know people who've like, I injured my leg, I injured my hip, I've done things like whatever, and forever that is always the excuse. Oh, I can't do that because my knee hurts, or I can't do that because I haven't been able to, straighten this leg all the way, or just all the excuses. And one of the cool things that I've noticed about you, Brandon, is like you see something that you want to do, and you're like, how can I make it work for my body to where I can do it? And that's a super unique mindset, I feel like, because you're not playing the victim role here, you're playing the adapt and overcome role, and it actually has benefited you because there's a lot of things like in jiu-jitsu, I know a lot of mechanics about jiu-jitsu where I know what people are capable of and where their body can move, and then you catch me off guard. I'm like, I stick my arm somewhere and all of a sudden you've locked it in. And I'm like, what the hell is this? So do you want to speak to that a little bit? Like, so you've been able to really like overcome a lot of those obstacles and figure those out. Like, is it something that just like came naturally to you, or is it something that you really had to like kind of like work for in the way that you move and in the way that you're able to adapt your body to things?
It definitely did not come naturally. I've had a lot of really good coaches in the past who not only understood my body, they helped me understand my body. And it's not even really studying myself. It's just over the last 14 years, I just got to know myself, got to know, okay, so if I put their arm under my armpit and lift, still gonna work as an armbar, you know?
Mm.
But like I said, it's good coaches. Everything as far as adaptation for me is a good coach, because if they're a bad coach and they're not really willing to work with me, not really willing to try to adapt, I'm not going to learn anything from them.
Mm. But you have to kind of think though that like, while you had good coaches, a lot of that also came from you and your ability to want to try to make those adaptations. Like I tell people all the time, there's a coach can lead you to a door, but you have to open it, right? I mean, that's like an old saying from like way back, like that I was told. It's like a good coach can't make you show up. A good coach can't make you work. They can't make you get past your challenges. They can only tell you their best opinions in most cases on how to do it. You know, that's like part of your journey, right?
No, I 100% agree with you. I'm just saying that when I'm focusing on a technique that I need to adapt, it's a team effort, and it's
Oh yeah, yeah.
difficult to be a
Okay.
team if the coach not that he doesn't know what he's doing, but that the coach hasn't been in there for long enough, doesn't really know how my body works, or doesn't really know. Well, I mean, you okay, so let's take you for instance. You and me, when we first started here, we rolled a lot, and I mean a lot, and we still do sometimes. But like,
Hmm.
I think that was more for you to understand how my body works, how my jiu-jitsu works, and that's really helpful because when it comes to teaching, you already know how it works.
Yeah. And to be honest with you, when you first came in, I was honestly in my head, I was a little bit worried that I would not be able um, to do a lot of that because I didn't understand. And I have I don't know if it's a character flaw in me or something like that, but I have a notion or a way in my head where I really overthink a lot of things, and I doubt myself. And one of the most important things to me in teaching is, you know, my students and making sure that I can help everybody. As you know, as I probably told you, Brandon, this gym was like a passion project. It wasn't like, hey, I want to make money and start a business and have a gym. Like nobody opens up a jujitsu gym to be a millionaire. It doesn't happen. Like if you do, somebody needs to help you in
Right.
in
If
your
you do, you got to
financial
be under
literacy.
someone else's school.
Yeah, somebody needs to help you in your financial literacy because that's not how that works. But you know, we do it as a passion project, and going back to the what we were just saying about like, hey, you know, you can be a black belt and get caught by a white belt or a blue belt or whatever, and it happens. And there's a lot of instructors through the years that I've met that take that really personally. Like they let their egos get in there and they're like, oh no, I can't lose to a white belt or a blue belt because then that makes me not a black belt. And to me that is so backwards. It's so silly because it's like, if I teach this white belt and this white belt catches me in something, that doesn't mean that the white belt is better or I'm worse or anybody's anything. That just means that I did a good job teaching that guy how to kick my ass, you know? And as one thing is like when I first met you, I was just like, oh shit, like I want to make sure that I'm like able to help you because I don't want anybody coming into my gym to be discouraged, to be like to have an issue caused by me. You know what I mean? Like, I get it. Like jujitsu and Muay Thai may not be your thing for a new person. Like it might not be, you might come into a school and just be like, hey, you know what? I don't really like this. This just isn't my thing. But I don't want it to be because like, hey, the coach just sucked, you know, and he just couldn't help you and shit like that. So, and I was a little bit worried. Like when you came in, I was just like, dude, like I got to figure out, like I got to step up. Like I got to figure out how to make sure that I'm the best coach I can be and like whatever. But and then I got to know you and I'm like, fuck, now I just got to survive. Because now I'm getting things that like I've never seen anybody do this, and you're catching stuff that I'm just like, oh shit, like how did you get my arm there, how did you get my leg there, like, you know, and stuff like that. And it's a true testament, honestly, it's a true testament to all of your previous coaches, you know, Dave Binder, the coaches that you had at your original jiu-jitsu school, Mike Winklejohn, all of those guys, and honestly yourself most of all, because you've been able to adapt these things. And I would probably say that since you've been in our school, I've learned as much or more from you than I feel like you probably have from me, just because of your ways of adapting things have opened up my brain into finding new ways to adapt things, you know, and make things work. And like, and I feel like that's like the whole point of going through this sport and going through this journey. If you're not like a medal chaser, you know, I'm not just trying to like win gold medals everywhere I go and try to fight everybody. The biggest thing is just self progress. In my opinion, the biggest thing is just self growth. And to have somebody like you where I'm like, oh shit, like he just taught me like the mechanics of this that I hadn't considered based on the way that you move your body and stuff. And then like, I'm able to, in a way, get a better understanding of a position or the mobility or what it takes to finish something when you don't necessarily have all your tools. Like you've grappled for a long time. There are times when you're in a weird position where you don't have like the ability to do all of the normal stuff you do, you know, like maybe somebody's laying on you sideways or something like that. And I was like, oh shoot, my legs are over here, my arms over here. How do I make this work? You know, and the more that you work with people who challenge the way that you adapt your body to a position, the more that you can challenge yourself, the more you train your brain into thinking like that. So you don't just think like, this is the only path forward to this position. You start thinking of, well, this sucks, but there's like 5 options on possibly what I can try to do. And then you try it, right? And I don't know if you kind of feel the same way about that, but like, that's how I've the more that I've gotten into the sport, that's how I've kind of adapted my mindset to being.
For me, that's part of the reason I always like going at the big guns in our gym, because they challenge me.
Yeah.
They're beginning to understand how my game works, and they're able. Some of them are able to shut it down, which is, I mean, that means like I will adapt.
Yeah, that means you just have to improve. Do you get any value out of rolling with new people as well? Because I know that like for me, example, and for some of our coaches, we obviously, when we roll with each other, it's a much higher level roll. Like when I roll with you, I have I have to have a better understanding and knowledge and awareness of where I'm leaving limbs, because you'll probably catch them and try to break them, right? And but when I'm rolling with a new person, like you can almost get a little lazy, because I'm like, oh, you know, like I can put this arm here and I'm pretty positive that you won't know anything to do with it. So like, I'm pretty safe right here. But there is a lot of benefit that you actually get when rolling with new people as well, because it allows you, one, to be very disciplined, at least for me, with my body. So I know like, hey, you may not know that this limb is here, this choke is here, but I know it's there. And if I get lazy with this, it keeps my brain working correctly in thinking about things, but it also helps me to know and help other people. Do you get any benefit like that from new people?
What I like about rolling with new people is that it brings me back to a simpler game. I try and put myself on their level to a degree. So there's just certain submissions that I won't do, but if I like being able to teach. I like being like, okay, so you got caught here. Here's why you got caught here. Here's how to not get caught here again. Here's how to get it out if you do get caught here again.
So what do you mean there's certain submissions you don't do? You mean like just like you're not going to heel hook a white belt, or do you mean like there's certain things that you like avoid in order to challenge yourself?
I mean, mainly it's the things you shouldn't do against a white belt. But there are certain chokes where it's like it's too easy.
I see. Yeah, certain things that just like don't challenge you. So if you start doing off doing those things, and you know that the other person just doesn't have the knowledge to resist it, it's not really, there's no point in it for you, because it doesn't make you better. It definitely doesn't make them better to get submitted by something they don't understand. Yeah, so that makes sense. And then so you actually enjoy a lot of the teaching elements of that. Do you find that it actually, especially for you in the way that you adapt your body to things, does it help your ability to learn how to adapt your body better when you're teaching?
It benefits the way I look at things, because I gotta realize, not only do you have to realize that the way my techniques work are different, I have to realize that the way your techniques work are different. I have to look at the basic technique and be able to break it down into little bits to, metaphorically feed to them.
Yeah, that's actually, I wouldn't have thought about that. I was thinking like from like an overview perspective of like, oh yeah, like it teaches me how to adapt. But then you take it to that point where like, hey, how I teach you is not the way that I can do it, but how I do it is not the way that I can possibly teach you to do it. So you're almost reading two different languages and you're teaching while translating in a way, right? Because it's like you have to adapt what the technique is to your body, and then also being able to tell the person how to do the same. Cool. Can you got me?
Gotcha.
Yeah. So for those who are listening inside, there's a little bit of audio issues here and there. I'm still running into them from time to time. I think it's the app or something, or however we're using to communicate, or maybe the cord or something like that. But what I was saying is that the way that you do it, it's almost like speaking two languages. And because you have to not only adapt a technique that you know to your body to being able to do it, but also have the knowledge to being able to help somebody else use their body in a different way than you're used to teach it. So you're not only like, you're using your knowledge and the mechanics that you understand to speak two different languages in a sense. So you have to kind of like adapt it for two different scenarios, which in my opinion kind of gives you an even deeper knowledge than the majority of people get, because you're able to understand it from their perspective and from yours, and simultaneously do both. So that's kind of a cool, I was gonna say, that's kind of a cool way of like actually like being able to do it. It's like that's deeper than most higher level people that I know.
I think it definitely benefits me though to be able to take a technique and teach it two ways, and sometimes I'll even be able to teach a technique of mine to people that aren't never fully able-bodied, which is even more fun.
Yeah, so that probably, so if you run into somebody who, like when you were doing the adaptive MMA, did it help when you worked with people who were similar to you to being able to show them ways that they can adapt their body as well?
In the adaptive MMA program, I didn't run into too many because it was mostly just one-on-ones with me and Link.
Oh, okay.
But I met a man over at Binder. His Instagram is One Leg Greg.
Okay.
And Greg has a leg that is pretty much exactly the same as my arm. So there were a lot of techniques and different things we would do, like the stabbing, where it was like, wow, you do this too? No way,
For those who don't know what that is, in our academy, I don't know if you had that in previous. I call your, what is it, your left arm, right? I call your your left arm your knife or your blade, because one of the cool adaptive ways that Brandon can use it is to just jab it into you like you're getting stabbed. And man, it makes you move so fast, because all of a sudden you think that you're safe and you think that you have something, and all of a sudden it feels like you're getting stabbed by something, and you're like, you start moving. And it's hilarious too, because when you start getting with people who don't know it, and you're just like, Brandon, stab him. And it just jabs him in there. And oh man, it's hilarious, but it's an awesome adaptation to how he rolls. But it's also from like the perspective of somebody who has to roll with him, somebody who gets to roll with him. I shouldn't say it like that, right? I have to roll with you all the time, Randy. I have to get my had to get smashed and jacked up by you all the
man.
time.
I'll just stab you a few extra times next time.
Right. No, but the cool thing is that just like I was saying with like adapting my style and trying to learn different mechanics, there are things that Branden can do, that you can do, Branden, that people don't do. So it's like the first time I get caught with it or get hit or stabbed by it or whatever, I'm like, oh shoot, like I got to worry about this. It's like, this is something that's really freaking painful. And like, you have to think about that, and you have to worry about it, but it's not something that you encounter ever. So you really have to have, it gives you a different challenge and a different way of doing things and thinking about things that you don't normally get with other people. And that's I think a cool and unique, another cool and unique perspective that you've kind of brought, at least to me and a lot to of our people at the gym. So I know we're going for a little bit here, but I do want to end it with this, because I know you're kind of a metal guy. But who's your favorite band? Who hypes you up the most when you're going to the gym?
Oh, recently, my top two are always going to be Ozzy Osbourne and Motorhead. I'm a very old English kind of guy, or old English.
Like old school.
Yeah.
Old school. Which do you have a favorite Ozzy album? I was kind of an Ozzy fan when I was younger too. I had like probably about 5 or 6 of his records.
If I really had to pick a favorite Ozzy album, Ozzy by himself, it'd probably be Blizzard of Oz.
Yeah, that was a top one there. And then Motorhead. Motorhead's a good one too, man. Motorhead's a good hype. Gets you kind of excited. But bro, it's been a freaking awesome to have you on. And I'm glad it actually worked this time with only very minor issues. We only had one audio issue. And I may not even cut it out. It might just, like, for those who are watching or listening, you might just have probably a 10-second like yeah. So
that was perfect timing.
We have 2 of them now, so we get two of them. So yeah, so we were having a little bit of an audio issue. So I'll figure it out. Maybe it's just this app. I might not use Zoom anymore because I use an external camera and a microphone, and for some reason it just does not like it. So it keeps turning off my microphone, and then I can't talk, and he can't hear me. So yeah, so we'll figure it out. But dude, super appreciate the conversation and everything. And yeah, I really hope that everybody gets something out of this. It was great talking to you, brother. And yeah, if you have any final thoughts, final words of advice for anybody?
Personally, I'd like to say I had an absolute blast being on the vlogcast with you, Rick. It was a lot of fun being able to talk about Jujutsu, being able to talk about my game, about my journey with someone that understands it. Yeah, and to anyone out there watching, if you're doing Jujutsu or considering doing Jujutsu, or even considering maybe leaving Jujutsu, just take it a day at a time.
Yep. Yeah, big thing. And for me, one of the things that helped me a lot was remember why you started. Remember the benefits that you were looking for when you first went on the journey, when you first came in those doors. What were you looking for? Have you achieved those things? What benefits or what changes have occurred since then? Maybe you've gotten new goals or whatever. And keep those in mind, because a lot of times when we've gotten into it a little ways, maybe you've been doing it for a little while, you kind of lose sight of the original reason that you started. And sometimes when we look back and see the original reason that we started, it gives us kind of a new reinvigorated sense of why we should keep going. But cool, brother. I appreciate you, man. Thank you for coming on. We'll have to do it again sometime here soon. We might even actually do the next one in the gym as part of the vlog. So as many people know, like this is a vlogcast, and it's called the vlogcast because sometimes it's a monologue or a dialogue in this case. And sometimes we're in the gym with the camera and just, you know, like just showing the day-to-day life. So might get some roles, and I got some footage of you that I'm going to be putting over this. So you probably have already seen it right now if you're watching this, because I would have already put it over it. So, so I hope everybody enjoys this. And Brandon, I'll see you in the gym this week then, huh?
Yes, sir.
Cool, brother. Hey, take care, man. Thank you guys. And we'll see you guys on the next vlogcast. Appreciate you, Brandon. Take care, man.
Take care, Rick.